everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about staying sober during the holidays. Now we have Thanksgiving coming up, we have Christmas, and we have New Year's. And those are some of the biggest drinking holidays of the year. And if you're thinking about quitting drinking, or if you're in the process of quitting, these times, these holidays, it can be especially difficult. I know in my experience, when the holidays come around, drinking is typically the main focal point. Obviously, gathering with friends and family, but that also includes drinking, and drinking a lot in my experience. And the the amount of temptations that you're going to have during the holidays is heightened. You're probably going to have maybe a few parties to go to per each holiday. You have Thanksgiving, and you might have a few different Thanksgiving dinners with different parts of your family. Friendsgiving, Christmas, same thing. You might have a few parties to go to. Maybe you have a Christmas work party to go to. And so there's going to be times when you're going to be tempted to drink. And what are you going to do when those temptations come about? For some, holidays are great. It's a time to see your family, maybe see friends that you haven't seen in a while, which is cause for celebration. So naturally, you're going to drink. And for some, holidays aren't the best time of the year. Whether you're not getting along with your family, or you're going to see family that you don't necessarily want to hang out with, or maybe this holiday season is the first holiday without certain family members, or certainly certain friends, in the picture. And, when you're, you know, sad or down during the holidays, of course, you're going to want to drink again. There's going to be tons of instances when you drink or want to drink. So I'm going to go over a few things that helped me, my first holidays sober, that might be able to help you as well. Going into these situations, it's important to have a plan. Instead of going with friends or family, you drive yourself, and in that way it gives you kind of an excuse not to drink. If the odds are when you go to a party, you're going to have friends or family offering you drinks. There's going to be toast, there's going to be champagne, there's going to be shots. There's going to be alcohol all over the place. And that certainly was the case for me. So if you drive yourself, you can leave whenever you want, and you can also have the excuse of telling, the person who was offering you a drink, "Oh no, I'm driving tonight." Or you could just simply say, "You know what, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking today," or "I'm not drinking tonight." And in most cases, they'll just leave it at that. There's also going to be instances where, maybe you're going to see family members that you don't necessarily get along with, and in the past, you would have to drink just to hang out with them. There will also be instances where, you have family or friends that maybe moved out of state or moved out of the country, and they, come home every year for the holidays. And naturally, you're going to want to hang out with them, catch up, and, in the moment, you're excited. Maybe you're reliving the old days when you used to drink, and you're going to be tempted then as well. And it's important to understand where your triggers are going to come from and how you're going to handle them. If you're at a party, maybe you just leave. Maybe you leave early, or maybe you just go outside, go for a walk until you can kind of calm down, and then you can come back to the party. The most important thing is your sobriety. So whatever you have to do to maintain your sobriety during the holidays, that's what you do. And your sobriety it's your responsibility. When I was getting sober, I didn't have this expectation for other people to not drink around me or to act differently. it was up to me to stay sober, not anyone else. Naturally, people are going to be offering me drinks, shots, because that's what I did. Like it was kind of a given that I was going to be drinking and drink a lot. So, initially it was kind of weird just because, people didn't expect me to turn down drinks. So initially there's that, like, little bit of awkwardness, like, really? You're not going to have a drink with me? I'm like, no, I'm good. And once you get past that awkwardness, it's going to be totally fine. It is strange. I will admit, you know, everyone's, in the holiday spirit, drinking, having a good time, and I found myself almost feeling like a bit of an outsider. And there were moments where I would be quiet and I would kind of just be not in the corner per se, but just kind of sitting down and observing everyone. And it was definitely a moment of clarity for me. I was able to kind of observe my thoughts and, notice that, while other people are having a good time, getting buzzed, getting their drink on, and I wasn't participating, and I felt really good about that. I was staying true to myself and staying true to the person I was working on becoming, and that was someone who didn't need or want alcohol to have a good time, to influence my life, one way or another. And the level of confidence that I gained from that was incredible, to be honest. Because you're going to face these moments all throughout your sobriety journey. There's no doubt about it. But when it comes around the holidays, the pressure to drink seems to be a little bit higher than most. And so going into it, I'm super nervous. Like, should I even, go to these parties? Am I going to be too tempted? Am I going to give in? And so to be able to make it through the holiday season without drinking, it really actually sets the tone for the upcoming year. And what I mean by that, the end of the year or the beginning of the year is New Year's Eve, right? And we all have New Year's resolutions. Rarely do people actually accomplish what their New Year's resolution is. And a lot of people's resolutions might be to quit drinking or to cut back heavily on drinking. In my experience, I've tried to do that on a few different occasions, is quit drinking, as my New Year's resolution. But the problem is I would quit New Year's Day, and I drank a lot all throughout the holidays. Obviously, New Year's Eve was, a huge party, and I would just go super hard. And New Year's Day is, typically one of the worst days of the year for me because I'm just so hungover, and you have this, feeling of like the party's over, the drinking's over, because that's kind of the end. That's the end of holiday season, and you know the hangovers were getting longer and longer, a week long, whatever the case may be. And maybe I didn't drink, all of January or maybe into February, but eventually the drinking, you know, came back. And so by not drinking through the holidays, you really set yourself up for success going into the new year. If you can make it through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's without drinking, your New Year's resolution of being sober is going to be so much easier because you're already going to have 2 months of sobriety going into it. And you could say this for any resolution, whether it's, a diet, or, if you want to start reading more, if you want to pick up a new hobby. Like, starting it on January 1st, it doesn't really make sense. It's just another day on the calendar. I know everyone gets worked up over New Year's Day and then their New Year's resolution, but why can't you just start now? If you're gonna wait till January 1st to start, you're probably not going to be that successful. Start today, and that way you build up momentum. And by the time you get to your New Year's resolution or the start of it, you'll be so much further ahead. So how are you going to manage to get through the holidays without drinking? As I mentioned before, drive yourself. That way you have an easy out. You don't have to wait for, other friends or family to leave the party. Offer to be the designated driver. That's actually been huge in my sobriety journey. Is my wife always has a DD. I always offer to drive my friends if we're all hanging out, and that's just right there. That's an easy out. No one's going to pressure you into drinking, or at least hopefully not. If you're the driver, if you're going to a party where there's going to be heavy drinking, maybe steer clear of the people that that are going to kind of be pressuring you to drink. Find other people who aren't drinking at the party, or maybe aren't drinking as heavily. Bring your own drinks. Bring your own non-alcoholic drinks, whatever that may be. That'll help. Set yourself up for success with having a curfew. I'm going to leave this party at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever the time is. Give yourself a curfew and stick to it, and maybe let people at the party know ahead of time, like, hey, I'm going to be taking off at this time. That way, it's not a huge scene when you're leaving. I dealt with that in my experiences, is like, because usually I'm one of the last people to leave the party. So when I leave early, it's like everyone's like, what? Where are you going? I'm like, I'm out of here. But now, people know that I don't drink, so it's not really a big deal. But there were times where I wanted to leave early because it was starting to get slippery. When it gets slippery, I slip every time, and I mean drink. And so when things started to kind of get, I could kind of tell people were taking it to the next level. Sometimes I would just leave. I wouldn't even tell anyone. And, they might think that that's kind of rude, but trust me, they don't care that much. They might care for a few seconds, like, hey, where did he go? And then they're just going to continue on with the party. Not that big of a deal at all. So the holidays are coming, and you're going to be tempted. It's going to be hard, but if you use some of these tips that I gave you today, it might make it easier on you. And if you do need to just not participate in certain parties, or go see certain people or family, then that's okay. And you might upset some people, but like I said, the main objective is you staying sober, and that's the most important. So do whatever you have to do, and don't feel guilty, or don't feel ashamed that you're not going and seeing family or going to certain parties because you feel too tempted. Again, you might upset family members at first, but ultimately you're doing what's right for you, and they'll see that eventually. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for stopping by. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Pass it on to someone who may benefit from watching it. Be kind to yourself. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you on the next one.